Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of our 7-day beginner series. So we just got caught up on yesterday's homework, which was selecting the theme right here, whatever color scheme you wanted, if you wanted to change the font, things like that, and deciding on the story premise that you wanted to work with for this. Again, I know somebody just said they weren't here yesterday. I highly, I cannot highly enough recommend starting with a story from scratch. Import novel is free right now, so if you have a novel you want to import, go ahead and get that done, but then set it aside, please. I'm linking this document for those who didn't get it. If you got it yesterday, there is nothing new, so you don't need to grab it again. So this document, for those just seeing it for the first time, just goes over, it has a YouTube link right here for my channel if you're interested, a course on how to use Notion if you're not familiar with it. You only need the free version. You do not need that paid account. And it gives our curriculum for the 7 days, including homework and some little notes on everything. So today we are working on our story premise, and we're going to look at the synopsis and start on our characters today. So I am going to go ahead and give you this sheet. You will see what you can do with that whenever we get to characters and world building. All right, so the premise I am going to use is this one, right? A hilarious comedic retelling of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I'm actually going to show y'all a couple of options of what you can do with this, though. First thing I would like us to do, recap for those who weren't here yesterday. Co-host, I am closing out the chat. We just went over the gear icon, again, going through, changing your font, deciding which theme you wanted, showed how you can look at recent activity for credits. Let me do some muting here. And then we looked at the question mark icon, which is really handy. So frequently asked question has a document that'll link you to where you can actually ask the AI questions. The join our Discord link, I highly recommend that. Suggest a feature and report a bug. So if there's something wrong, report a bug is super easy to use. So definitely check those out. If you have any questions, let me know. We can cover those at the end of the class. So I did make a promise, sort of promise. I don't think I actually used the word promise, but anyways, as a reminder, if you can make it through at least most of the days of this week, doing the homework, following along with us, I am hoping to be able to gift you something at the end of the week. I am waiting on absolute confirmation that we can do this. But if not, you will still end the week in a much better position of learning Sudowrite. So something I want you to do, go to the Discord channel sometime today, tomorrow, I don't really care when, to help me keep track of who is following along with this. If you go to the Discord server, go to the Sudowrite general channel, I'm one of the last people that commented in it, so you can click on my name, and where mine says edit profile, yours will actually have a box where you can type out a message to me. In that message box, type out what premise you're using. If you're using a premise you don't want me to know about, just say, hey, I made up my own premise to use for this. If you're using the Snow White one, let me know. Something along those lines. I really appreciate that to help me keep track of everything.
I'm sorry, Nicole, what box are we tapping in, the general one in Discord?
Yes, ma'am. Sudowrite general channel. And I'm one of the last people that commented, so you can like scroll all the way down and just click my name, and the message, a little empty box will pop up that says like type a message here or something along those lines. And we can go through that at the end of the class if anybody's having trouble actually getting that done. All right. Couple of things. I'm trying to spread out settings, the boring type stuff, interspersed with what you can actually do in Sudowrite. So let's cover a few more things on this home page first, okay? You probably don't see the My Voice. That is a beta. This is coming soon, hopefully to everybody. This is where if you have published books, you can actually upload them and train your own model to write similar to you. So that's an exciting little feature. I am not going to go heavy into plugins at all this week. We will probably actually use one today just so you get a glimpse of it. But just know that plugins are kind of a way for you to tweak Sudowrite and make it do whatever you want it to do. So if a certain feature like the describe or rewrite function isn't working the way you want it to work, you can make a plugin to do whatever you want. So many options here. There are so many plugins for you to go through. There's categories right here you can click through and look at. You can see, click on newest and see which ones were recently added by different people, all of that stuff. Caristina has a plugins class every Monday at 3 Central. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that. 3 Central every Monday. She's an amazing teacher and she does a really great job of mixing and matching between focusing on something specific. So like today's class was on outlining. I know she has a horror plugins class coming up later this month. Other times it's just really beginner basics such as how to create a plugin, how to use a plugin. So definitely check that out if plugins are something you are interested in learning more about. We're not going to cover that heavily in this one. These boxes here, this one is self-explanatory. When I click the 3 dots on a project, I can delete it and it will go over here. It stays in here until you permanently delete it. So I can click this permanently delete or I can restore it. If you click that permanently delete button, there is no getting it back. So I always say, wait till your book is published. You're 110% certain you do not need that project anymore, okay? And then these are some other boxes you can click into, similar to what the question mark does. So the link to register for our classes, you could just click this one right here. It will take you directly to our Luma page where you can go through and select register for a class. So if I want to let me find one I'm not part of. So Sudowrite office hours. I haven't registered for that yet. I can come over here and I can click my register button and it'll say, great. And then I'll be going. Again, all the classes are free. If you notice on some of these cards, there are 2 icons. These are not as much of a big deal anymore. Right here where it says Story Bible content, this one that looks like a book, that is because this used to lead us to what was called Story Engine, which Story Bible, Story Engine are the same thing, different names. And when it was Story Engine, we had to actually make an extra click to get into it. Whereas in Story Bible now, you'll see we just scroll down and it's there. So these just allowed us to immediately jump into that section without having to make an extra click. Same thing with this one that looks like a TV or easel, whatever I think it looks like a TV, but I think it's meant to be an easel. That takes you directly to Canvas if you have Canvas content. So I can click that and now I no longer have to do that one step of clicking into Canvas. It just takes me directly there. So just some useful little clicks for y'all to save y'all some time. And then of course we have the 3 dots. So when I'm finished with a project or for whatever other reason I want to export it, I can export it here. This is only going to export your documents. Story Bible boxes, your Braindump, Synopsis, outline do not get exported, okay? It only exports your documents. I can duplicate a project. This is great, for example, for this folder structure if you have a setup that you really like for covering your series. Or let's just say you want to start off a normal series, your characters and world building are in place to kick off your next book, you want to duplicate it, you can duplicate this and then just go in and delete the documents. So duplicate duplicates everything, your documents and all of your Story Bible boxes. It's going to be an exact duplicate of that project, okay? Let's say, let me go into, I'll go into this one. So let's say I duplicated this, but I'm actually on book 2. Yes, it's a bit of a pain, but something you can do. I want to leave my characters and world building. Like I said, we're pretending I have this set up for book 2, ready to kick off, but I have all of these documents here. These aren't ready for book 2. These are all book 1. I can create a folder real quick. and I'm not going to do them all, I'm just going to show you. I can drop all of these in there into that folder, do that for all of the documents. When I'm done, I have two options. Either I can just leave that folder there, it's now out of my way because everything's condensed down, or I can click the three dots and delete that. That's just a quick way to delete versus going through deleting every single one of these documents. So that's a way to help with duplicating projects for series. The team is actually working on creating series. I'm not sure how to word that correctly. They're working on making Sudowrite better for series, okay? So I expect some great improvements on that, but this is a current workaround. All right, and I covered the three dots. For those who are new and missed it yesterday, this import right here on this home screen, that is to import your novel. That means, let's say you have 60K of world building done or whatever bits and pieces of your manuscript, you want to import it and continue to work on it in Sudowrite. This button right here will import and then fill out your story Bible boxes for you. There is a different import here inside a project. This is to import a document. It does not fill out any boxes. People have been getting that confused a lot lately, so I want to point it out. In the project, imports a document. Home screen, you can import a whole novel and it fills out boxes for you, including characters and world building. And this is how you create a new project right here. All right, any questions before we dive in today?
That's clear, I believe.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to open up our project again. So we're going to work in Story Bible today. So you see Story Bible is toggled off. I can toggle it on, and now I have all of these boxes. So this is what we mean when we say Story Bible boxes, all of these little sections right here. This is our document area. Over here on the right, that's your history area and the cards and stuff that get generated. You can close these out if you want, especially if you're in the midst of actually manually typing out. You don't want any distractions. Expand that. Do whatever you want with it. I'm actually going to leave that side collapsed. Okay, so I asked y'all to pick a premise. I showed y'all how the Three Little Pigs one came out the other day. So this is an option. But again, I highly, highly, highly encourage y'all to start with a story from scratch. You only need to do like a chapter or two just to get used to the features. That's all we're asking. Yes, Tomas.
Yeah, I think somebody just answered the question, but the question was, I think you went over it, but could you go over slowly how to find first draft?
Yep, absolutely. So first draft is in the plugins menu. I have a bunch of plugins, so I have to scroll all the way down. It is towards the bottom. It will be at the top of this list. You do not see a first draft, correct? No first draft here because I'm in a document that has words. You have to have a blank document. So add new, blank document, nothing here. And there is first draft. So now I can click it and use it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So if I type anything here, once again, first draft is not in this list. Delete it, and first draft is there again. And just click it and type your prompt in there. About 900 words roughly. Okay, so I wanted to go over this. So I gave y'all this one. I just wanted to show y'all a few things right here. So if I just tell it, write a retelling of Snow White, I could put that in here, right? And it's going to do whatever it wants when it generates synopsis. It's going to decide what kind of retelling because I haven't given it any instructions. This is what I mean by learning the program and seeing how your prompts change everything. So look at the difference. So if I had just told it write a retelling of Three Little Pigs, it would have done whatever. In this instance, I said, hey, I want a horrifying retelling. Not only that, I want the pigs to be the villains. Do y'all see how that's getting more specific? This is what we mean by playing with your instructions and your prompting and learning how to prompt the AI. So this one's very general, gives it all kinds of leeway to do whatever it wants. This one is a bit more specific. I'm still giving it a lot of leeway. I'm telling it, hey, do a retelling and just make it funny. Still has a lot of room to play and do what it wants. Or I can say, write a comedic retelling of it. I want the princess to be bumbling, unhinged dwarves, psychopathic queen, and a lazy mirror. Do y'all understand how that gets it more specific? So if you have those ideas in your head, go ahead and give it to the AI. If you don't have an idea, you want to leave it general, go ahead. Maybe once it generates that synopsis, you will have a better idea of what you want. So I'm going to put lazy mirror that lazy mirror just constantly foils the evil queen's plans, right? If I know everything I want to happen in a story, I will actually max out this box. I will put in the major plot points, not scene level details, but most of the major plot points, I max this out. But again, while you're learning, there is absolutely nothing wrong with playing with this. Yes, you're going to use up credits. I promise you. Just understand your first month is going to be burning through credits learning. If you do these steps though this way, I think you will be much better off during your second month than I was. So Synopsis looks at genre and Braindump. So I can fill out my genre here if I want. Something I also like to do, because Synopsis used to not look at genre. So I got in the habit of putting little things like this, and I'm just showing you this because it's another way for you to guide things. So I can put genre here. I'm not going to go dark. I'm going to stay lighthearted today. Comedic retelling. Let's pull up quick chat. Actually, you know what? I want some ideas for wording. So I mentioned I would probably use a plugin today. I'm going to use my genre and style plugin. It looks at Braindump, so I don't need to highlight anything. So I'm just going to run it real quick. See if it gives me any extra words. Okay, I don't know where it's getting AI stuff here. But definitely nothing comedic about that. Right, so that wasn't any help. Another thing I can do is pop up quick chat. So quick chat, you can either highlight up to 1,000 words, or you can press Control K on a PC, Command K on a Mac, and it will pop up this box. There's quick edit and there's quick chat. I'm going to use quick chat. Over here, there's a toggle. You see it's blue, purple, whatever color it looks like to you. That means it's using credits. It says it right here, uses credits. If I toggle it off, this is free. It is not going to take any of my credits away. So you can use this as much as you want for quick edit and quick chat, and it's free. I know Jade's here. She loves using this. So definitely check out Discord. I know we have a feedback, a tips and tricks post, several of them actually, with ideas of what you can use these for. But I'm going to ask quick chat. Give me some genre, style, and so I'm going to tell it, give me some genre, subgenre, and writing style suggestions for this story. Let's see what it gives me. Quick chat does see extra information. So Here is extra information on the quick tools right there. Let's see what it gave us for genre, dark fantasy. No, oh, that's right. It's reading our little three little pigs right there too. Parody and comedy fantasy. Okay, so I like those. Parody and comedy fantasy, satire, that's good. Tongue in cheek. Like that. So if I want to save it right now, there is nothing that saves this, so I would need to copy it. So I copied it, and then I can just paste it and use whatever I want. So I like comedy, fantasy, parody, and satire. And let's do whimsical and tongue-in-cheek. So I want to put that in my style box. And we're going to go over all of this, don't worry. All right, so I can actually put this right here up in my Braindump, because right now when I go to generate my synopsis, it is not seeing that style box. So I can just pop it right here now that I know how I want it. And all this is doing is it's just giving my synopsis more guidance to let it know, hey, this is what I want right here. I want it in this kind of way. Something else I love to do, let me do tone. Already done that mostly, but something I like to do is unique elements in my Braindump. This is very useful if you know you want certain things in your story, but you don't yet know how you want them. For example, one of the suggestions I always use is say, I know I want a unicorn, I want a dragon, and I want some ogres in my story, but I have no clue what I want to do with all of them. I can just put it right here. Unicorns, dragons, and a mean ogre, or whatever you wanted to put right here. And it will do something with those elements. So I'm going to put, psychotic unhinged drawers who think they are handsome prince. I don't want him to be like this great knight. So usually ends up there we go. Good enough. So again, it's just another way for you to guide it to do these little elements. Do you have to? Absolutely not. You could just leave it simple, details right here. This is just some things that I found that I do like to generate synopsis with. So I'm going to go ahead and generate that. And while that's generating, do we have any questions so far?
I think everything's been answered.
Love awesome co-hosts. All right, so let's see what it's giving us. In a whimsical kingdom where satire reigns supreme. A magic mirror, lazy and apathetic. So I like it so far. Got Snow White, our bumbling princess. Oh, I forgot all about the huntsman. I didn't even describe him. Should make him like the one serious person in the whole story, but he just gets fed up with everybody else's clumsiness and bumbling and all their antics in general. Oh. Okay, she stumbles upon the cottage. So our dwarves are delusional misfits. All right. So the synopsis is your first place to make a lot of edits and start really making the story yours. So like I said, I just had the idea, well, maybe the huntsman should be our serious guy. He's actually trying to get the princess because, hey, he wants to get paid. But, everybody's antics, all the bumbling through everything, it ends up causing him to fail in his task. And eventually he just gets fed up with everything. That is actually the way I would like to see it playing out. So I could put that in there. One thing I would do, since I know that's kind of a drastic change, I would actually go back to my brain dump, put that in there, and then run a second synopsis. Yes, it's going to cost me more credits, but I think that would make a nice twist to everything. For the most part, everything here is good. And I could also rewrite synopsis and just say, hey, had the huntsman be this kind of way. I'm just showing you different ways you can do things. I could even copy this synopsis into Quick Chat and tell it to rewrite it and include that little change to the story. That way I get an output without costing any kind of credits. So hopefully one of those options will work for you. But this is the way to start playing with it and learning. See what kind of changes you can make to Braindump, generate another synopsis, and see how that affects things. In your synopsis, once it's generated, you want to go through and delete any wording you do not like. If it sounds cliche, if the story is not going your way, change that up. But this is the first place to make big sweeping edits right here and start making this story yours. So play around with it and see what happens. Let's see how it ends. So not specific at all, just something with the mirror's laziness leaves the kingdom in a state of utter bewilderment. So that's interesting. A prompt I have found somewhat useful is putting in Braindump. I'm trying to think of the exact wording. It's something along the lines of, let me type this out and then I can copy it to y'all. Something along this line. Is it like a cure-all to making sure it gives specifics? No, that's our job as writers to tell you the truth. But this does typically help get it a little bit closer to being specific and giving me some ideas that I can work with. So try that out. All right, so let's do our genre. What did we have up here? I like that. All right, so we have our brain dump right here. genre. I'm going to do the style real quick. So style, y'all have featured styles now. This is a relatively new thing. I can tell y'all right now, style is probably one of the hardest things. I'd say style and beats are the hardest things for people to get the hang of when using AI. So with these featured styles, you'll have a much better start to doing something. So try one out and you can always refine it a bit. My favorite is the gritty one. It seems to fit my Dark Mafia very nicely. I actually surprisingly liked the refined and literary one as well. But play around with this. And I would love if my co-host kind of chimed in with what their favorite is as well, or any other experienced users. But if I want one of these, let's see. We definitely need one that is more for comedy, right? Yeah, we need one for comedy. Let's see what approachable and charming gives us. Third person POV, past tense. Okay, so that's not bad. I would actually say with lots of satire and humor. Just to change this up. Don't be afraid, just because you picked something from there doesn't mean you can't change this up. You can do whatever you want with it. If you only want to use this part, that's fine. But this is a really nice starter to getting your style close to what you want. I'm going to say, use heavy dialogue. There we go. So I'm going to leave it at that and see what it does for us. So we have Braindump, genre, style, and synopsis. There are some style classes, y'all, but another day this week, what day is it? Day 5, we're actually going to be working more with style. So I definitely recommend playing with those featured styles for now. But I will show you how to tweak things more in line to what you want. So all of that is done, and now we can generate our characters. And I'm going to throw y'all for a loop here. I'm trying to keep this basic, but I'm also wanting to let you know the things that have helped me get the best output. So I can generate all the characters right here. What generate characters and what our world building does is it looks at synopsis. If there is nothing in synopsis, it looks at Braindump. Right now in synopsis, I have my story information. And I'm probably actually going to leave it this way. I don't know yet. Yeah, I think I'm just going to leave it this way to save time. But actually what I tend to do is delete the story stuff and I only have character information. So in other words, I would have Snow White. I would describe her, dark hair, fair skin, whatever else I wanted to do. I would describe each dwarf's look, their personality. That is pretty much it. That is the way I like to generate my characters because I find just having those brief character descriptions and traits, it seems to not pull in so many story spoilers or cliches with the AI. Well, we're actually going to see how it does with that story information here. But that is what I like to do. I will typically have a very short character description, just saying, hey, they look this way, maybe talk like this, act like this. That is it. I don't go into much detail, something brief. I put that in my synopsis instead, and I generate my characters from that. What you can do is customize your character cards. This is something you could do for each project. So click the customize right here, and you have a template. Now, if this is your first time, you're going to have the same 4 or 5 traits right here, the default ones, which I think are background, physical description, dialogue, and I think maybe something else. I'm not sure. But you see, I have a lot more than that. So you could click add, and you can add whatever trait you want right here. That's where that Google spreadsheet comes in handy. So let's look at that real quick. So I have characters. So this actually, these are everything, all the traits that I have in my character box right here. So if you want to use those, take out the courtesy of Lynn Jordan and Stacey Jones. I just like to give credit because they're the ones that came up with that. But all of these are my traits, and you see how thick this one is. It can hold up to 300 characters in that title field for each trait, okay? What I mean is right here. These little sections can hold up to 300 characters, and it acts as instructions to the AI. So instead of just saying, hey, I want a physical description, tell it what you want a physical description of. So, hey, I want to know how old they are. I want facial body descriptions, unique features, and builds. That is how you start tailoring it to really get what you want for each character. And there's also settings, world building, all of that. You could do all the same. So check those out. Yes, Tomas.
Kat has a question about small descriptions in Synopsis. Do you want to ask that question, Kat?
Yeah, sure. I was just asking if you're writing those small descriptions and then you delete the whole synopsis and just paste those descriptions to get your characters, and then you can re-put the synopsis later.
Correct. Yes, ma'am. And
Okay.
Synopsis only holds 800 words currently. So if you're wanting to follow that, but hey, you need more than 800 words, you can just use Braindump. And the same thing applies. All of the boxes now have a history button. So let's say I deleted this. It now has my character descriptions. I'm ready to get my story information back. I can click this little clock icon. It will bring up that history, and I can click restore for the story elements to be back in the box.
Okay, perfect.
And
Thank you.
continue with that. You're welcome. Yeah, I keep the descriptions in for characters and world building, and then I restore it to generate my outline. Okay, so any questions on this? This is where you can really tailor things. Something I want y'all to keep in mind, actually, I think I'm going to start generating if there's no questions on the trait stuff here. Is that you can move them around, rearrange them. I keep this one at top because this is the one I change as I'm writing my story, because you know the characters change their emotional states, physical states. You know, they might have got captured, might have got hurt. This is that box that stays at the top, so I can quickly go to that card, put whatever change I need. If you don't want a trait for this story or that character, you can exit out. Save new defaults is how you create a new template. So this is what you're going to use that first time you go in here. You add all the traits in that you want. You have your language that you want, and you click Save New Defaults. That means each project you go into will now have all of this in there or whatever you saved. This Add to Current Characters, I do not have any characters generated right here. See, it's blank. There are no characters. It's characters and world building. So this will do absolutely nothing right now if I click it. But let's say, because right now we can't tailor templates for different kinds of characters. So let's say you know you want your characters to have all of this. So you generate all your characters with this default template, but then you have some characters where you want to add a few more traits to it. You can click add whatever traits you want, add to current characters. It's going to add those blank fields onto all of the boxes, but then you can just go in and fill out whatever you want. I know that is a little confusing. There is a character and world building video in the course videos channel. We actually just did a recent one as well, where we really dive into how to work with this. But the main thing to remember, put your instructions to the AI, letting it know what you want it to do. Save new defaults means it's going to get saved. I'm sorry, I really need to sneeze and I can't sneeze. Save new defaults creates your new template. This adds to currently generated characters. So if I have generated characters here, add some new things, add to current characters, it's going to put those onto them. So let's go ahead and generate the character so you can see what that's going to be like. And my story information is actually there, so we'll see if it gets very cliche sounding or not. Last time we looked, it actually wasn't too bad, so I think they may have done some tweaking. Any questions while that's generated? This one does take a while.
Nicole, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I thought that you were going to put all of your character information into Synopsis before you generated characters.
So I can, but I just went ahead and left it for the sake of time.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that is normally what I do.
Okay, I'm with you now. Thanks.
Yes, sir. A couple of things that are very useful for characters. If you saw in my trait fields, I have a sample line of dialogue. So not just a box describing how they speak, but a box that actually gives a sample line of dialogue. You're going to see it pop up here when this generates. That is very important, in my opinion, to have your characters sound unique. And it's one of the first things I really tweak in each character card. I will typically work with ChatGPT or Quick Chat and just find a line of dialogue or two that really nails how I want that character to speak, and I copy that into that field right there. I can't tell you what a huge difference that has made in how my characters sound. Whereas used to, they would sound very similar no matter what I did. Once I started putting that example line of dialogue in there, made a huge difference. Give it a minute here. Every once in a while, it gets stuck, and then if you refresh, it'll be populated, but I want to make sure it's actually stuck and not going to go again before we try that. Any other questions? We have time to kill. So we got our queen right here. Couple of things. Groups. It does not work as well as the team was hoping it would. The idea was when we do our beat, you're going to hear me talk about don't use vague wording like the team. Don't use pronouns. Don't say a man, a woman. Groups was kind of meant to help solve that issue, along with just grouping people to give the AI some more knowledge. So in other words, if you have a sports team, you're writing characters, they're all on the same sports team, you could have their sports team here. If you're doing a university book and you want to put which university each student is at, that could go here. If they're on in the CIA or whatever, that is the kind of information that can go here. So for Mafia, I could put which Mafia family they belong to. This isn't something I use a whole lot. I do use it for my Mafia stuff, the MC gang books. That's really all I use it for. Again, the team has said this isn't getting pulled in as much as they hoped it would, but that is the purpose of the groups field right here. Other names. So all of these on both the character and world building, this main name right here, and whatever you put in the other names box. This is how you tell the AI, hey, I want you to go look at this card. You're either going to say Fairest Queen or put her name here. Yes, Tomas.
Okay, so there's a question about the order to populate the content with information to write the story in Sudowrite. And to me, that's got kind of more than one answer. But, because there is the recency bias where when you're first starting out, you have to go box to box. But once you're started, you can kind of mess with them.
So what is the best order to populate the boxes? That's the question.
Yeah, it's hard to populate outline without having synopsis, for instance, unless you're bringing something in, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
I think that's the question.
Or can Sudowrite look for new information, scanning all contents? Something to know, these documents right here are useless for Story Bible. It is not seeing any of these documents with information. Keep that in mind, y'all. Each box is looking kind of at the previous one. That's the best way to put it, although that's also not exact. If you click into each one, it will tell you what it affects. So in the genre, it says this affects synopsis. Well, you can't see it. Synopsis, outline, beats, and chapter generator. Style affects beats and prose. Braindump, synopsis, and beats. So that tells you what each one affects. So if I want to generate a synopsis, meaning I want to push this button, I need something in Braindump. That's what it looks at to generate. If I want to generate an outline, meaning I want the AI to write one, I have to have something in Synopsis. Now, if I'm bringing that stuff in, hey, I could just paste it in. I can leave my Braindump blank. If I already have my synopsis, I could just put that in here. Or if I have my outline, I don't need my Braindump or synopsis, I could put that in there. But now keep in mind, characters and world building also pull from synopsis or Braindump. So kind of, I would just get in the habit of going in order, at least until you understand, oh, this box affects this one pulls information from this one. And then you could kind of see the boxes that you're able to skip easily and work around that way. It's one of those things you really become comfortable with the more you play with it. But in general, just go in order because each box kind of pretty much pulls from the other one or the previous one, I mean. Does that help? Let me know if not.
Actually, I'm not sure if you're listening to me,
Yes.
and I'm sorry if my English is not that proper, but I get this idea of the next box getting information from the previous one.
Mhm.
But if I want to change something in the other, for example, I have the outline of my book, but I
Okay.
don't have yet a synopsis for it. So if I add the outline first, it might help me create the synopsis. But if I don't have all the information there, can I change the order of populating these boxes? Like I can go back to another one and it will change the next one.
Gotcha. Okay, so if you have the outline, you can skip Braindump and synopsis for the purpose of generating an outline. So I can go straight to the outline. Yes, mine's going to look different. I can just paste my outline here. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, can I go back to synopsis and click generate synopsis and it's going to pull from here? No, it doesn't work that way. But
Right.
the only reason you need synopsis or Braindump, if you already have your outline, the only reason you need synopsis and Braindump are to fill out your characters and world building. And wow, look at all these blanks right here. Is to fill out those things. So maybe you're also have your characters already done. I'm just giving you options here. So let's say you do have your characters filled out somewhere. You can actually import those. In this case, you still do not need synopsis or Braindump because, hey, you already have this information done somewhere. You're just bringing it into Sudowrite.
But if I have to create the characters, I don't have all the characters.
So
Can I populate these boxes later, like adding content to Braindump and to Synopsis, so later
Mhm.
it can be creating the characters for me?
yes, ma'am. So if you have your outline, a couple of things you can do. You can paste your outline into a document and work with Quick Chat. Tell Quick Chat, highlight your outline. Again, you could highlight up to 1,000 words. So let's just say you actually have 2,500 words. Start at the end and highlight up to your 1,000 words because it does read preceding text. That helps it read it all. And then tell Quick Chat, bring up Quick Chat and tell it to write a synopsis for you based on this outline. And you could just paste that into Synopsis or Braindump, whichever one you wanted. And then you
Right,
can
I
actually
get
create,
it.
ma'am?
I get it now.
Okay.
I get it now. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Other things you can do too, let me show y'all. So let's say I have those brief character descriptions already somewhere. I don't have to do the synopsis and create all my characters at once. Instead, I can generate a single character at a time and just paste in that brief description I have. This box can hold up to 1,000 words, possibly up to 2,000. The team was unclear on that. So for example, in one story, the AI actually created a new character for me. I love the idea of that character. So I pasted in that chapter of prose into this box and I told it create this character. So there are different ways to get your characters created. You know, either have it pull some from Synopsis or Braindump, import your information, or do them one at a time and input your information right here for each one, and it will fill that out. All right, let's see. We have our character's current emotional state. I'm just trying to read through this real quick, and I want to see how much story information it brought in. So this one actually did not do it bad. So it didn't seem to, it doesn't seem to be bringing in spoilers. Let me, this is one of the bugs they've been working on, so I'm just going to report it real quick. And that's how easy it is to report a bug, y'all. So when y'all see this, just let them know it happened. I can click this rewrite right here and it'll typically fix it. So with rewrite, I can also give it instructions here again if I want. If let's say it was correctly formatted, but it made her cheery, or maybe too dark or something, and I want to go in the opposite direction, I could guide it here. But I'm just going to leave it blank and just have it rewrite that to fix all that gibberish. And I'll do the rest outside of class time. You can't see it probably, but it is doing something. There we go. So much better. So I would actually do that probably for each of these. If it did a blank one, so for instance, this, if there was the love interest, of course, the prince, I could fill this in, and again, I could give instructions for it. However, at the beginning of the story, guess what? Snow White hasn't met the prince yet. So I would actually leave that blank. That's something to keep in mind. Do not have those spoilers. And again, that's usually why I don't have my story information in Synopsis whenever I generate these. It usually gives spoilers, has the characters knowing more than they should at the start of the book. You want to keep these updated. Now, most of mine is just personality, looks, things like that. And again, this one is one I would keep updated as the story changes to let know all those changes that the character is going through. So to make sure y'all understood, use the names right here, either in other names. I actually don't like that. Ever Clumsy. I just noticed her last name is Ever Clumsy. This is how you tell the AI, either this box or a name in here, hey, go look at this card. So when it's generating a scene with that character and it needs to know the background, their description is pulling all of that information in. It needs to know like her family, her friends, stuff like that. It will pull it in, but you have to name that card. That applies to both characters and world building. And let's see, where is my dialogue here? It's actually not too bad. I do see her actually being corny like that. But this is what I was talking about as far as being one of the first things that I do with my characters. I look at this line of dialogue and I work with ChatGPT or Quick Chat, or maybe I already have that idea in my head of how that character sounds, and I put those lines of dialogue right here. It just really helps the AI whenever you give it examples, so it nails their speech better. All right, I want to make sure I don't cover too much today. We are just doing, yeah. Another thing to keep in mind, when you're generating prose, it pulls very heavily from the character cards, okay? That means if you have characters that are described as determined, guess what? You're going to get a lot of determined language whenever it generates prose with that character in it, because you said, hey, your character is determined. So if you do not like any of the wording here in your character cards, you need to change it. Delete it, get rid of it completely, or rewrite it to be better reflective of what you want. So add to her distinctive velour. No, I don't want that, because guess what? When it writes the prose, somewhere that is going to get thrown in that her graceful yet awkward movements only added to her, whatever it was, allure. So that's what I mean by changing your wording or changing the AI's wording. And I don't want this because I can see that getting brought into the prose. Again, prose pulls very heavily from the character cards. So if you know you do not want your sentence or text, any passage of a chapter generated with that wording, get rid of it. Very important. All right, so I know we're just over the top of the hour. I want to make sure I answer questions, but for homework, for those that are following along, put your story premise in Braindump, generate your synopsis, refine that synopsis. So make sure that synopsis, this story is carrying it out the way you want to. You know, if you don't like a plot point, change it. If the story doesn't end the way you want it to end, change that and get rid of wording in your synopsis that you don't like. So refine your synopsis to be more in line with what you're wanting. Generate your characters, and then go through your characters and make sure they are how you want them. So if you want a character to be meaner, adjust that wording. Get rid of those AI phrases that you don't like, that you don't want carried into your prose. Do we have any questions on anything?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I just stumbled upon Sudowrite yesterday, and I came in at the tail end of your class yesterday, and I'm still trying to get a grip on everything you're talking about.
Mhm.
What page are we on right now? Where are we?
So right, today we did the synopsis. We put,
No, I mean the whole page. Is this discourse?
no, this is in Sudowrite.
No, I mean, is it? What is this place for this meeting? What is the
Zoom.
yeah, where is the Zoom happening, or is it just your computer?
I'm not even sure how to answer that, to tell you the truth. When you
Okay.
click the link, it should be installed on your computer. It'll bring you to that Zoom.
Oh, it did.
Oh,
It did.
yeah.
Okay.
It's like a little meeting link that everybody joins.
Yes, I did. I'm here. Is there anything, any kind of written down book, manual, something that we can refer to if I'm kind of a visual person?
Did you get this document?
No.
Okay. So let me link this document again. All right, so in this document, if you scroll down to day 1 topics, there's an FAQ and resources. This is some documentation that Sudowrite put together, and you can actually ask questions to the AI right here.
Okay.
In Discord, I don't think I have that open up. Yeah, I do. So in our Discord channel, we actually have a course videos channel right here. So you could search up something that you really want, like if you want to know more about Braindump, synopsis, characters, You can actually do a search, or you can just look at the most recent videos and start there. Our deep dives tend to focus really heavily on certain aspects, and the quick start stuff, that's more for beginners. So that might be a place that you actually want to check out, anything with a quick start.
Yes. Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. In addition to those, yes, Tomas.
There was a question here. Oh yeah. Does Beats or Prose pull from Braindump?
So it says beats pull from Braindump. I have never seen it happen. I have never noticed anything getting leaked from Braindump that shouldn't. I've just never ever seen anything go from that. I know I have kept information such as that. John, I know you've seen that Vampire Slayer story I've done. I have my prophecies in Braindump. Never once have beats pulled in that prophecy. In fact, they will create whole new prophecies if I don't put them in there. So, in my opinion, no, I've never seen it. Others have said, yeah, they have noticed. So, I guess it's just a matter of, I don't even know at this point. But according to the team and some users, yes, it does affect beats. I have yet to see that.
I would say if it does, it's probably only going to be in the worst way. Like it won't pull in something that you want, but it might pull in a spoiler, like something that you don't want, and you're like, why is that in my beats? That's not my outline. And then you have to like go and look through everything you wrote, and it's like, oh, here it says something happened in the past or something in Braindump.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But I'm that type of person. Once my brain dump is done, I leave it alone. So I haven't really noticed anything like that. But I'm actually curious to know specifics of those that have said they've seen something. For people needing more too, again, I do have a YouTube channel. There is a beginner playlist, Sudowrite, how to use Sudowrite for beginners playlist on there, where we go through each feature one at a time in a video. If you're interested, it's actually not on here because I hate doing self-promo. I don't think I have it. Yeah, I don't have it on here. I actually have a how to use Sudowrite book that if you have Kindle Unlimited, it's in KU on Amazon. You can search up my name, Nicole Broussard, and Sudowrite, and it should pop up immediately. So there is an actual book that I done. So there's lots of things out there for you, and the Discord is just a wealth of information because I teach how I use Sudowrite. I do like to give alternatives. However, I am biased to my workflow, but in the Discord, you can get lots of tips and different workflows from other people. So I will always recommend the Discord.
I have a question, Nicole.
Yes, sir.
I am using, I thought I would play with the first draft. So I pulled it up and I started writing a story in there. And at the bottom, it said, oh, that's not the right number of words that you're writing there, density and everything. So I kept writing and kept writing. And then the little line below that started saying, that might be a little too much for Sudowrite to handle. Is there a word limit in there, or as I'm kind of creating this story and writing it down, I don't know if it's turning into more of a brain dump
Yeah.
focus strategy.
Let's say, I know you could put in a max of somewhere around, I know what you're talking about though.
Is it 500 words?
You could put somewhere around 900 in there actually. So,
Okay.
but what he's talking about is right here it says type more, pretty please. Now,
Yeah.
if you paste in synopsis, this might be more detailed than Sudowrite can handle. I haven't really found that to be the case though.
Okay. I'm at about 250 words.
Oh yeah, I don't think that's bad at all. So the thing with first draft, so I'm just going to click go while I talk. It mostly wants to finish a story. Like it is taking first draft literally and going from the beginning, the middle to the end. I did notice, I can't remember which class it was the other day. It actually stopped like at the first chapter where I would kind of stop at a first chapter. which I thought was very interesting. But for the most part, it tends to want to write an entire story. So that's why it's good for short stories. I've seen it do average from anywhere from 800 to almost 3,000 for books.
Okay.
But it's great, especially if you're wanting to play with like the laser tools, because you could actually get a quick short story right here. And then you can start playing with all the laser tools, seeing how you can expand things, change things, all of that. So I think it's a fun way to play with that way.
Okay.
But I don't stress. I get told that all the time. Hey, this is probably too much information. I don't stress over it. Worst case scenario is it's not going to incorporate all of the details because it is trying to do so much in this small, like less than 3,000 words.
So in that first draft, do you want to write just the lead into a story and let it finish it, or can you write the whole beginning, middle, and end?
You can do a ton with this. So I want to see how this one leaves off, if it actually does the whole. Yeah, this one looks like it. Yeah, this one's doing the whole story in 1,800 words. So now I can use expand, describe, rewrite, and make this much bigger. And I'm sorry, I forgot the question. I was going to answer the question and then I forgot your question that quick.
Oh, it's like, do I want to just write the beginning of a story and then let it finish it, or do I write the whole beginning, middle, and end and let it write the
I would
story?
do the whole beginning, middle, and end because it's probably not going to stop where you want it to stop. Now you can try it. You can give it like the first portion of it and then see where it takes it from there. I have actually done beats as well, or given it a template. I have a plugin called Short Story Outline Template, where I can actually create a short story template, and I've put that output from the plugin inside First Draft. And I found it does very well for staying more on point for how I want that story playing out. I have put scene beats in there and had it expand my scene beats and write the scene for that. It actually does a great job of that. It just tends to go farther than you want. So it's
Okay, would
really
I take
better.
the output then of this and move it into Braindump, or
You can if you want. How much? Okay, this is 8. Yes, so this fits because Braindump holds 2,000 and this is 1,803. So I
okay,
can actually, yes, put this inside Braindump. Of course, make the edits to make sure it's the story that you want to tell,
correct?
and then
Yeah.
generate from there.
Okay, everybody understands that, to edit as you go. So
Yes,
that
definitely. I know we don't
yeah.
say it enough. We kind of take it for granted that everybody should know that.
If there's something wrong in there, then Sudowrite's just going to magnify it
Mhm.
if you're
It's
not happy.
always it's always a snowball effect.
Okay.
But in my opinion, First Draft is great for like nonfiction type work, getting that outline for a nonfiction book, writing each chapter at a time, or for getting a short story started and then, working on it on your own from there. That's my preferences for First Draft.
Okay. I'll just see where this goes, because it's just writing itself at this point. This first draft thing, but let's see where it goes.
I'd
Thank
be
you.
interested to know if you do try giving it like a beginning.
Mhm.
I'm trying to see. So I'm thinking you could actually prompt it. I just need to see the prompt again. Let me see. So if I was let's pretend this is our first draft box. I want to be able to type this out. I could prompt it. Here is the opening of my. So I would paste words here. And then I would tell it, continue this story. And if you have a direction you want it to go, like somebody dying of battle or the poison apple, whatever, is that Snow White with the poison apple? But you could say
Sleeping
continue the
Beauty,
story.
typically.
That Sleeping Beauty was the spindle, the spinning wheel.
Hmm.
I got way too many princesses.
Oh, it's all right. You're right.
Yes, Snow White, Poison Apple, correct.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I got a couple
You
of them right.
work at Disney.
Beauty and the Beast is my favorite. Go ahead and ask me stuff about that. But yeah, you can say continue this story. again, if you have a certain direction, do that. But I would be interested to know how well it's going to do. But I do think it's not going to just do like kind of a chapter, again, it's going to try to go to the end of the actual whole story from my experience.
Okay.
Now, if you're wanting to, like if you're just having fun with that story, you're really enjoying it, I would use guided write. So with guided write, I could, let's just pretend I'm still writing this. I could use the guided write. We're going to work with this later this week and tell guided write what I want to happen next. Or I can use the auto write and just have it continue in that fashion. The auto write
Okay.
and guided write, these are the things that y'all are going to see when we play with these. If you're one of those, you really want to write the majority of the story yourself, you just want the AI's help every once in a while, these are the two features that you're really going to like, I think. They're very relaxing and fun to work with. Bye, Sarah.
Terrific. Thank you. I don't want to
Yes,
get you
sir.
too derailed.
I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, but I will hang around to still answer questions. So thank y'all for hanging out. Again, today's homework, if you're doing it, put your story premise in the Braindump, generate the synopsis, change it up to your liking, generate your character cards, and change those to your liking as well. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.